when the U.S. government can't or won't do something, they could use surrogates. A surrogate would be someone outside the government, meaning not paid, so there's no attribution to the U.S. government, and they could do it. And there's patriots all around the world that use their companies, use their other things. The nonprofit world, if you think of government organizations, right, the government institutions, and then you have NGOs. So I'm not telling you anything that's a secret here. Government organizations, NGOs, non-government organizations, nonprofits, do things outside the government. The government could at any time request an NGO to do something as a surrogate for them. And it happens all the time, especially the intelligence agencies do it all the time. And so as we're there, you have relationships and friendships and people know you. And so as we're there setting up, we had got a request from Special Operations Liaison Officer of, the Central Intelligence Agency to go get Benjamin Hall. At the same time, simultaneously, we had a call from the Pentagon from Fox News correspondent because Benjamin Hall worked for Fox News. And that request was to go get Benjamin Hall. For those that don't know, Benjamin Hall is a Fox News correspondent. He was in Kiev at the time of the heavy attack. And so when Kiev was under heavy attack, his vehicle got hit. Whether it's intentional or not, his vehicle got hit, and the two Ukrainians in the vehicle with him were disintegrated. His combat correspondent, Sasha, lost everything. The only thing remaining of her was her arm. Pierre, his 25-year Fox cameraman, amazing guy, covered a lot in Afghanistan. Just want to everybody talks about an incredible human being. He was killed instantly, and Benjamin Hall was catastrophically wounded. Lost a foot, lost a leg. Should have kept his hand, but it's pretty bad. Lost an eye. They didn't think he was going to make it. Traumatic brain injury. He was blown up really bad. Ukrainian troops saw him. They took him to a military hospital. And so the call was, and I remember we were in the living room. There was 9 of us in the living room. And the C-Spray's on the phone, and we see him start to write, like, hey, everybody be quiet, something serious is going on. Everybody knows right away. Like, everyone's laughing, it's goofing off, but something serious is going on. And C-Spray starts writing stuff down. He hangs up the phone, and he's like, hey, Fox News correspondent Benjamin Hall been catastrophically wounded. He's got a wife and 2 little girls at home. U.S. military's not going to go get him. The agency's not going to go get him. If we don't go get him right now, he's going to die. Who's in? 9 people in that room. 8 former military guys. 1 professional baseball player just happened to be in the room at the time, Adam LaRouche. And everybody's like, let's go get him. Not one person hesitated, including my son. Let's go get him. And, I always talk about these things being miracles, but you can't argue when God does something to set something up. An hour before that phone call, we had just got 2 ambulances, yellow EMT vest, badges made, and paperwork to make us look like EMTs because we knew that was the only way to pass through checkpoints at night, an hour before that call. If we wouldn't have had those assets in place, we were building those assets in place to be able to have access and placement. If we didn't have those assets in place at that time of that call, we wouldn't have been able to do it. An hour before that call, Dakota Myers was there. Dr. Raddick, like all these guys, we had Dr. Raddick, who's a surgeon, a trauma surgeon, who ran a, I think he was at JMO unit, like all these, everything was in the right place to be able to pull the trigger and just say, grab your bags, let's go. And I believe God orchestrated that. Within about 30 minutes, we got in the vehicles and loading up. And as we were loading up, I seen Hunter throw his bag in the back of that ambulance to go. And C-Spray looks at me and goes, is Hunter coming? And I'm like, yeah, if you say he's coming, I'm not going to make that decision. If you say he's coming, he's coming. I was going to relinquish that. And C-Spray said, man, I need somebody to run the talk. Sean's going to stay back and run the talk. The solo from the solo guy is going to come sit in the talk, but I need Hunter here because he knows how this stuff works. And I'm like, if I tell him, he's going to think I'm holding him back. He's like, I'll tell him. And so C-Spray told him he had to stay back. And I could tell he was just like, hey, he said, where you need me, that's where I'm going to be. But he wanted to come. And it tore my heart out to see him. I know he wanted to be there. and we got in the vehicles, we drove across. A vehicle, B a vehicle. Seaspray was leading one vehicle, I was leading the other. Me, Adam, and Dakota was in one. We stopped outside the city as a kind of backup element, QRF backup element. Seaspray and went in the city, grabbed Benjamin Hall. I can't say exactly how it all happened because there's some things that I think I'd probably get in trouble for saying, but got him in the vehicle and got him eventually. I mean, his feet were gone. He's shrapnel through his throat.
Damn.
His brains, they have a tube in his brain. His hands blown off, not blown off, blown pretty bad. And he's like Dr. Addicts, like we have to move him. And we knew in that moment, like if we didn't move him then, like he was going to die. And Seaspray and him had to move him out of the hospital, and the hospital was like, hey, we can only release him. So they like just stole him out of the hospital because they were like arguing, hey, you guys doctors, who are you guys? And we're just like, just took him out. And so got him across the border, and when we got him across the border, the 82nd Airborne was waiting in a helicopter. Seaspray and Bo loaded him on the helicopter, and then flew him to Aeromedical C-130. Got him on an Aeromedical C-130 and flew him to Launch Dual, Germany, and eventually to Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas, where he recovered. The next day, we were asked to go get the body of Pierre, and I was like, I'll make the call. Like, no, we're not gonna go get a body. Kiev's still like getting rocketed. It's under a heavy attack. Russia's they've circled the city. They were trying to close in on it. We're not gonna go. And I mean, we've been to other cities since then, but we're not gonna go in just for a body.
Yeah.
And then his wife Michelle showed up and was like, I want my son, I want my husband. And we were like, yes, ma'am. And we went in, and I actually drove Pierre's body out in a hearse. He was in a hearse, and the guy was trying to use the hearse to get out of. He's like, hey, like I need to drive him out. It's my hearse. And I'm like, hey, we're gonna buy your hearse from you. And he's like, no, I'm not selling my hearse. And I'm like, yeah, you don't understand. Either you're selling your hearse, or we're gonna steal your hearse. We're taking this. We didn't want to remove that casket from the hearse, and I put him on. I'm like, hey, get on the phone, Fox News, make the deal of your life. They're gonna pay you for whatever you want for this car, and they'll transfer you money, and we got that hearse. But I remember like going in the back, and we had to open it and verify it was his body, and at this moment they had he's from Ireland, and they had an Irish flag, and they had really set him up like dignified, but they had an Irish flag in the back, and I remember like it made me realize like our guys, right, when they come home, and how on the casket we put the blue at the head and the stripes go down to the feet, and so I quickly Googled like, how's the Irish flag go? You know, green. It's a green orange at the head, and so I looked it up on Google real quick, and I started putting it over, and I actually got like really frantic, and I was trying to tape it on, and Seaspray came back and he grabbed my hand. He's like, "You all right, brother?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I just want to do this right, man." We were taking him to his wife, and we took our time. We put the flag on, and we drove. I drove the hearse, and Seaspray and them were in front of me in an ambulance, and we got him across the border and delivered him to his wife. And in a dignified way.